Hello, happy
Hi
Wednesday.
there.
Here we are again. Day has gone by so quickly.
Yeah, it's going by even faster every
That's
day.
it. That's it. So we are Dave and Laura Butler, and we're with you. We bring our session to you each week on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and we provide executive coaching opportunities for individuals and teams that support the organization overall, both online and in person, which we're starting to see more of. I think people are looking for the opportunity while we can to go on site.
Connect.
Absolutely. And what we're going to talk about today, one of your favorite topics.
Getting tuned in. I'm tuned in. Or are you tuned out?
So, what does it mean to be tuned in?
Well, to me, it means that I'm tuning into myself, number one, because as a mentor of mine many years ago said, you can only go as far out here as you go in here. So the main thing here is to tune into yourself. We've been doing a lot of meditation lately. I think that's great. Spending time trying to get better at tuning into what's really going on for me, because if I don't do that, it's very hard for me to tune into anybody else. So getting tuned in and getting tuned up, getting my tuning fork correct so that what I'm picking up makes sense, and I'm on it.
Well, I think it flows nicely to this, which if we're leaders today, we've got to be intentional because that intentionality creates the connection.
Yeah, yeah. I just spent the afternoon doing one of our leadership programs with a company, and our topic today was commitment. And a really important aspect of commitment for leaders is for you to be self-aware. There's this great article called, Authentic Leadership. It was years ago, 10, 15 years ago with Bill George. Fantastic article if you ever get a chance to read it. All about authenticity and how to be authentic by being more in touch with yourself. But if you're not self-aware, you can't really show up with any authenticity for anybody else because you're always just kind of, the flotsam and jetsam of life. You turn into, whatever suits the day, and nobody starts to rely on you very much for being tuned into what's going on.
Well, I think too, when you said, the self awareness connected to the thinking around meditation
Mm-hmm.
is, what I'm hearing all the time in the meditation, and it's some of the reason I've avoided it is because if I can't do it perfectly, why should I do it at all?
Right, right.
And self awareness is the same thing. It's the ability to let others know you're trying. You're at least, being vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
is one of the most important things. So it's the same with, mindfulness and meditation is that, and what the leader of the meditation continues to say is just bring it back. Don't judge it, just bring it back.
Yeah.
Whatever the back is for you. But I think it also means the self awareness, and as we talk about emotional mastery for ourselves,
Right.
and the idea of where we're heading with our program, which we'll talk about in a little while.
Yeah.
If we're not self aware, we're not going to acquire emotional mastery.
Well, I remember in the '60s, the phrase was "tune in, turn on, and drop out."
Mm.
But that was okay for the '60s. Now it's more tune in, turn on, and drop in. And get into, be real, get in the moment, get be in there with everybody else, as opposed to living in some fantasy land of what you think that it is. You got to get in touch with yourself and then get in touch with everybody else, so they feel like it's real. You need a sense of reality.
Yeah, and we last week you and I facilitated a team offsite,
Yeah,
and one
that
of
was something.
that was outstanding because what we actually saw was honesty and people opening up
Hmm.
and saying, I can't not do this. I can't
Yeah,
not be authentic and be honest about how I feel.
yeah, and I'm just taking a risk. Getting involved in the moment and being real involves a risk, and it's a lot easier in some ways to play along and whatever you think that the show is supposed to be, and everybody's happy hiding. But how much of that time? I remember you read me an article. Somebody was writing about 60% of the time people are finding ways to hide rather than finding ways to get involved in the moment.
Yeah, that's so true, and I think it was in the DDI organization, the being a deliberately developmental
Yeah, yeah.
institution. And when you're thinking deliberately developmental,
Mhm.
that means that you are in the moment. You know?
Yeah, and Amy Edmondson's work about psychological safety is all about, being real, being actually there. It's okay to fail, but it's not okay to not talk about it. It's
Right.
not okay to pretend like everything's okay, and when there's a lot of stuff going on for you.
Well, in her book, Teaming, there's the bigger book, Teaming to Innovate. No, the bigger book is Teaming. The small book is Teaming to Innovate.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
got both of them here somewhere.
yeah, that's okay. I've got talk from.
The pile of books.
I've got it right here at my fingertips. This is the small one, as you can see.
As always.
So it's Teaming to Innovate, which I think is really interesting. Her method is
My
to
book is bigger than your book.
team up, fail well, and learn fast. So fail well means that we unpack that failure. We don't just drop it off. We don't ignore it. Oh, we won't ever do that again.
Yeah.
Well, if nobody hears about it, fail well is at the right scale.
Yeah.
Leading failure so that we get and we can embrace that failure and create cultures that embrace that failure.
Yeah. How can you build commitment anywhere if people are afraid to commit because they might be found out? I mean, the whole thing just makes no sense at all.
Well, what it does is as what we have up here on the screen. It helps leaders master their emotions and recognize triggers. So I think that's the most important thing out of all of this is to master, call out the emotions as they occur and then recognize what the triggers are. And as you said, the self-awareness can be not a phrase, it's a tool.
Right.
Because if we tap into that self-awareness, we can actually read the moment better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a much more accurate take on what's going on. And people respond to that. I mean, whether it's good or bad, it's not the point of, everything's hunky-dory and perfect all the time. The point is it real? Am I involved in something? Am I in a conversation that's got some real depth to it that's meaningful for me, that I feel like I'm actually seen, I'm here?
Well, it's all about mindset.
Yeah, that's the lens, looking through the lens.
And the Berkman tool that we use has a brand new mindset report.
Mm-hmm.
So we're diving in to share that with some of our clients, and I think it'll be a good indicator of where people are.
Yeah, definitely. Well, even just part of the mindset report is the image management score, and I've been starting to work with that more and more today. I brought it up at this leadership team meeting, and it was interesting because they were all within maybe 10 or 15 points of each other. So the whole leadership of the organization is very much oriented towards the high image management score, which has to do with being aware of the public image, caring about how you show up, showing up with authenticity for your people, as opposed to being just completely into the details and head down and nose to the grindstone, all that kind of stuff. You have to be able to pick your head up and see what's really going on around you.
Absolutely. So this is all leading to not only the idea of self-awareness and give yourself the tool and utilizing it that creates this mindset. Mm-hmm. But what we're going to be offering in a few weeks is our program, which is Emotional Mastery, the key to your leadership impact. And I think what were we saying?
I was going to say that gets right to it. I mean, let's go for right to the heart of the matter. Okay. It's not just emotional intelligence; it's emotional mastery, because it's hard to have impact as a leader if you're not in control of yourself. Number one, you can't recognize the stress behaviors and the kinds of things that muddy your intention. It's one thing to say, well, how many times have you been in a situation where somebody said something that hurt your feelings? You say, well, I didn't intend to hurt your feelings. Well, there's a big difference between intention and delivery. And being aware of yourself and understanding what that intention is and being able to deliver it effectively keeps the confusion down,
Well, one of the things that's been successful is to give people tools, and how do you actually communicate that intention?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just jump in and it's like, oh, go jump in the pool and swim when you don't know how to swim. You know, you have to get the steps and you have to get the coaching. And I think one of the my favorite experiences from doing these programs is to see the participants learn from each other.
Oh yeah.
That is one of the best ways that
Well,
it's how we do it, is these weekly or bi-weekly coaching calls. So by the way, if you're joining us on the recording, thank you. We're Dave and Laura Butler of Work Life Consulting, and we're talking today about self-awareness and emotional and mastery, and are you in or are you out? And what we're covering now is the upcoming program. We're going to be traveling the next few weeks, so we want to make sure that we're focused and kick this off well. So it'll be the second week of May or so that we kick this off. But also, you know, the ability, I think the why in this emotional mastery program is that connection. You know,
absolutely.
you know, because when you have that connection, you're lit up again.
Well, I think the topic becomes like the topic we had in this leadership program today was commitment. Your own commitment and being able to show people the commitment that you have, and the commitment to what is important, because the why is we need to be committed, but the what are we committed to?
Right.
And making sure that that's something that's decipherable to other people so that they can find their way to commit to it as well.
And then the what, discovering why. You know, we tend to bury emotions. We're, you know, well, don't be so emotional. No, it's important that we actually tap in to know what they are and what they're doing for us. You know, they do something. And then how do we handle the emotions as a result of uncovering and discovering what the emotions are and why they matter. And then beyond self-awareness, there are 4 other domains of emotional intelligence, and we'll dive into that.
Yeah.
And align your own values, competencies, mission with the EQ, personal and social competencies.
Sounds great. Where do I sign up?
And then the mastering of the development plan. And I will put in the comment section the wait list, because that's what we're doing now. We're gathering names and keep people informed as we go. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, engaging with people again in this particular format, because I think it's so valuable, especially in today's world.
Well, I think one of the more important things as well is the fact that when you say emotions or being emotional, everybody thinks that means being histrionic, being loud and noisy and crying and freaking out. Emotions can be subtle as well. Being committed and being focused and being determined and resolute and dedicated, all those words we use to describe things, those are emotions too. Those aren't, you know, measurable. Those aren't numbers. Those are feelings, and that's what you want to tap into with the people that you work with, is that we can have shared intentions and shared visions and shared commitment.
Right. Absolutely. So it's and know that the way I operate may be different from somebody else, and that's okay. I always go back to, you know, celebrating the idea of diversity of thought.
Mm-hmm.
If we can embrace, you know, that mindset of somebody thinks a little differently, that doesn't mean I have to be their best friend, but I need to appreciate what they bring to the table.
Well, I should at least be curious and not judgmental about it.
That's right.
Why do you feel that way? What, tell me more. What's that look like? How does that show up? Get people to express themselves a little bit more, because I think the more that people are allowed to at least express their opinion and their vision and their take on whatever it is the topic is, the more likely they are to feel that they can be committed. They don't have to be in total agreement.
Yeah, maybe we learned something. Imagine that.
What?
Well, I think we're good for today. You have anything more you'd like to add?
No, just I'm looking forward to all of it. I think it's terrific. It's time for us all to jump back in. You know, it's been a couple of years of, do I do this? Do I go there? Do I show up? Do I wear a mask? Do I breathe? It's time for us to get a little, you know, back in gear and get on with it. Let's get things moving again.
And we always close with our dear friend Elliot Lewis. We're in this together because it's so true. We are in whatever this next is together. There is a plug to Elliot and the Live from Daryl's House band. Daryl and Todd Rundgren. We saw the show last week.
Knocked it out of the park.
It's, if it's coming to an area near you, go.
Don't question it. Just go.
So we'll leave you with Elliot's music and enjoy. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. We're both going to be traveling and out of town. So I think it starts up again in May. So let us know what you'd like to hear. And thanks for listening.
Bye.